Hey guys, with the Boston Bruins and the St. Louis Blues getting ready to go to a deciding Game 7 in order to decide who will win the 2019 Stanley Cup, I could not have thought of a better jersey backdrop for this video today. So, before I go any further, there's one thing I quickly want to do, and I might as well do it now. And it's to give a quick shout out to the Toronto Raptors. Unfortunately, they couldn't win the NBA championship tonight over the Golden State Warriors in Game 5. However, hopefully the Raptors will win either Game 6 or Game 7 and finally give Canada and us Canadians our first NBA championship. That would be so cool. And it's amazing how the entire country has been getting behind our one and only NBA team, the Toronto Raptors. And go Raptors, go. I hope that they can pull it off. But if Golden State wins, congratulations. I mean, they have a great team, so they're not out of this until they've lost 4 games. That's for damn sure. But I thought I'd give a quick mini shout out to the Toronto Raptors. I really do hope that they can pull this off and win their first ever NBA title. I think they so deserve it, and it'd be so cool if they could pull it off against the Golden State Warriors. Now, anyways, back to the video here. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Toronto Raptors and talk about them briefly because it is so cool that they've gone all the way to the championship against the Golden State Warriors. And let me tell you, I think it would be so damn awesome if Toronto could bring home an NBA championship. That would be amazing, and it would be great to see another Canadian team bring home a major professional sports league championship here in Canada, or bring it back home to Canada and bring the NBA championship to Canada for the very first time ever. That would be amazing. But anyways, for this video today, I want to provide and give some further discussion regarding the 2019-2020 NHL season in terms of some new uniforms that are going to be coming out in time for the start of next season. So the teams that I will be focusing on in this video are the Minnesota Wild, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I'm also planning on touching base a little bit about the Detroit Red Wings as well in the video at some point. But I want to provide some further conversation about those 3 teams specifically, Minnesota, Edmonton, and Vancouver, because there's some interesting stuff that I want to talk about regarding the Minnesota Wild's planned black alternate uniform that they would like to start wearing next season. I also want to talk about the Canucks uniforms that were recently leaked. And I also want to talk about the Edmonton Oilers because there's something that I did not talk about in my 2-part What Is Known So Far video series I did a few weeks ago that I've been kicking myself for, and I have really wanted to talk about it ever since. So I will be talking about that. And as for what I'm going to talk about regarding the Red Wings, basically it's something I kind of want to talk about, maybe what we could maybe get for a Red Wings 3rd jersey next year. I know I already talked about it in that series, but I thought I'd add something a little extra to that as well. And for the record, I don't know anything new about what the Red Wings are even going to be doing for a 3rd jersey, but I'll talk about it a little bit because I know I have talked to a few people about it as of late. But anyways, I want to start off by touching base on the Minnesota Wild's rumored black alternate jersey for next season. So, according to the rumor mill, the Minnesota Wild have been having trouble getting approval from the National Hockey League to wear and to bring out this new black uniform for next season. Now, you're probably wondering why, and that's a great question. Supposedly, according to the rumor mill, what's been going on with the Minnesota Wild is that they've been having trouble and having some very poor results in TV testing of the new uniforms. So what they do is, in the process of getting approval from the National Hockey League to wear a new uniform, what they do is they have the teams uniforms tested on a TV to see how the uniform looks on TV. So, for example, to make sure that a team like the Philadelphia Flyers with their current third jersey, which is their Stadium Series jersey from 2017, what they did with that uniform before they unveiled it is they tested it to make sure that the big orange nameplates and the elongated black on black numbers with white trim on them were legible enough for announcers to just make out. So they wanted to make sure that they were legible enough for the announcers and for fans as well. Especially for announcers because they're the ones that have to read the names and numbers of the players' jerseys regularly. That's their job. So if they can't read what players' name and numbers are, that's not good. I mean, if you've got a play, it's like so-and-so passes it to so-and-so. That's not how it works. You want to be able to hear, like, for example, in the Flyers case, Simmons to Lofton. You don't want to hear, who's that to? Wait, who the hell's that? I can't see the names and numbers. So if a team has legibility issues with their names and numbers on their jerseys, the NHL will say, hey, look, you need to fix this. And rightfully so. So in the Flyers case with their current black third jersey, the legibility is satisfactory enough that the National Hockey League has obviously approved it, and they approved it for the outdoor game they played against the Penguins back in 2017 for that Stadium Series game. Other teams with legibility, when it comes to number and name legibility, one of them was, of course, the Flyers' most recent Stadium Series jersey, which I thought it was absolutely terrible because it desperately needed some weight. And if it had some weight on that jersey, it actually would have been a very good Stadium Series uniform, in my opinion. But because they didn't have any weight on it, just monochrome black on orange, it was just awful. But anyways, back to the whole situation with the Minnesota Wild. Clearly there has been issues with their third jersey plans because clearly they've done something such as dark green numbers and dark green names on the back, or even just numbers, or even maybe they've tried black numbers with forest green trim on them with maybe just a thin beige or white outline around them. I don't know, but clearly there is supposedly some major issues that the Wild have had with their new planned alternate uniform regarding TV testing, because supposedly they've been failing. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just stating the rumor. But if it's true, and the Wild aren't able to get it completed in time, this may end up being a project that gets scrapped. I don't disagree with people in the sense that Minnesota having a black third jersey would just be a case of black for black's sake. But I have to be honest, folks. The Minnesota Wild with a black alternate uniform is a very, very intriguing thing to me, and it's really perked my curiosity. I don't know about you guys, but I actually think it would be cool to see what the Wild have come up with. I mean, if I were the Minnesota Wild, or if I was involved with the Minnesota Wild, would I want the Wild to have a black alternate jersey? No. But if they've gone ahead with plans for a black third jersey, I would be curious to see what it looks like. And I do hope that if they've come this far, that they will end up actually using it. I mean, if they've gotten to the point where they're doing TV testing, according to the rumors, I mean, I do think that it would be interesting to see what it ends up looking like and actually see it get used as an actual legitimate alternate uniform. But also, I mean, I know this has nothing to do with the Wild, but the original Minnesota North Stars did have black jerseys up until they moved to Dallas in their final years. I mean, not that it has absolutely nothing to do with Minnesota, with the Minnesota Wild, but I'm just saying, Minnesota has an NHL history with black jerseys, a small one, but as I say that though, do I think the Wild should have a black third jersey? No. But if they've come as far as they have, I do have to admit, I'm very, very intrigued by what it's going to look like if they actually get to the point where they fix the problems that have prevented them from getting approval from the NHL to use it as a third jersey going forward starting next year, if this rumor is, of course, true, eh? But with the Wild's jersey, I have seen a concept mock-up where it's a black jersey with dark green striping and the Minnesota Wild script from their last third jersey in the Reebok era. That was a dark green jersey with the base stripes and the Minnesota Wild word mark on the front of it. According to the rumors, that word mark is the logo or on the front of this new alternate jersey. Something else I've heard as well is that their captaincy patch will actually be a Minnesota or a state of Minnesota captaincy patch, where the captain's C and the alternate captain's A's are inside the state of Minnesota, or a silhouette of it on the front of the jersey, which I think is extremely creative, and that alone has got me intrigued, to be honest. Then another thing as well, I've actually heard that there was some type of star design on the arms of the jersey, which it's the same shooting star design that's inside of their main logo inside of their main logo, which is the silhouette of a bear's head, for anybody wondering. And it's actually a very, very clever uniform or logo, and it's actually very underrated in my opinion, at least. But supposedly I did read somewhere, I did read online that there was a rumor that there was that shooting star was I think in black, and it was a black shooting star or something on the arms of this planned third jersey, with the Minnesota Wild script on the front and the state of Minnesota silhouette with the captaincy patches were the Minnesota state, or the silhouette of the state of Minnesota, where the captaincy patch is inside of that, or the captain letters, sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble describing it, but for example, think about the Minnesota Wild's 2015-16 Stadium Series jersey that they wore against the Chicago Blackhawks. Well, on their one shoulder, it had the State of Hockey shoulder patch, which showed the state of Minnesota, or the outline of it. Basically, what this captaincy patch is that, except it's just the state of Minnesota, and then inside it is the captain's C or alternate captain's A inside it. That's what I'm trying to get at. I've had trouble trying to describe it the best I can. But yeah, that's the gist of it. But anyways, I've seen a mock-up online where it's a black jersey with dark green striping, where the numbers and the word mark on the front are in beige. However, here's the problem. If the numbers and the player name on the back were in beige with the logo or the word mark on the front, that would not have TV testing issues. If the San Jose Sharks can have their stealth jersey with the two thin teal stripes on each arm that are barely noticeable during games, where it looks like they're just wearing black practice jerseys, in my opinion, and if you can have the Flyers' new Stadium Series turned third jersey, where they're just elongated black numbers with white trim on them, which the trim is thick enough and bold enough that you can see it, that announcers can just see it during games to be able to see the players' numbers, and those big orange nameplates. Clearly, there is more to it than this mock-up. And by the way, I'm just talking about a concept that somebody made, just so you know, in case you're wondering. So, clearly Minnesota's been up to something. Perhaps black numbers like the Flyers, or dark green. That would make sense. I mean, if they were dark green with like maybe just a very thin vintage white or even a white outline, I really don't want to see vintage white on black. But, maybe it looks good, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'd have to see the actual design to really be able to tell you what I think of it. But I got to say this. With the Minnesota Wild, it sounds like they've probably done something crazy like dark green numbers. And even though the player names are probably in white or beige to be legible, there's probably issues with the numbers, because the numbers are they probably don't have enough of a proper outline to be able to be viewable on TV. Where, unlike the Flyers' massive elongated Stadium Series jersey numbers that are black on a black jersey with a thick white outline around each number so that the numbers are legible, this one's probably got some thin trim on the back. Perhaps it's black numbers or even dark green numbers with maybe the thinnest little white or cream trim, just enough, just so it's there. But the problem is on TV, you're not going to see it unless it's prominently bold or the outlines are prominently bold. Now, another thing as well, with the Minnesota Wild, maybe the script on the front's in dark green or black. I could see, you know what? I've noticed in the Adidas era so far that especially with some of the new third jersey designs like the Sharks' new third, Carolina's new third, even though it has white numbers and white letters on the back, and also the Flyers Stadium Series jersey turned third jersey, Adidas has seemed to really aim for darker jerseys. The Hurricanes jersey is quite dark. It has the dark gray shoulder yoke on a black jersey, which is hard to see from a distance, in my opinion. The arm striping on the Sharks' new stealth alternate jersey, you can barely see it during gameplay, where sometimes it looks like the Sharks are just wearing a plain black practice jersey. And as for the Flyers, their numbers are enlarged. The white trim or the bold white outlines around the black numbers are more than big enough that you can still decipher the numbers and see them during gameplay. But clearly there is a major problem that this uniform design is having if it's not getting approval from the National Hockey League. So I'm curious to see if the Wild will be able to fix it in time. I've also heard a rumor that the Wild, according to Aesthetics, have been trying to get the green light to host a Winter Classic, possibly in 2021. So if this doesn't work out, maybe the Wild just say screw it and just wait for the Winter Classic design, and then if the fans absolutely love it, maybe they adopt it as a full-time third. You never know. But it's what's going on with Minnesota in terms of a new alternate jersey is very interesting if the rumors are true. Now, the next team I want to talk about here is the Vancouver Canucks. Their new home and away jerseys have been leaked by sportslogos.net. They've also been talked about on Aesthetics, and they've been all but confirmed, or they have been confirmed now. So what the Canucks will be doing is they will be taking the Vancouver wordmark that has been above the Orca logo for the past 12 years and getting rid of that and making the Orca the same size as any other regular crest, like the crests on these two jerseys here. So that's what the Canucks are going to do. And the only other change they've made is to the shoulder patch, where the blue stick and rink shoulder patch on their home jersey is now white. And also on top of the 94 throwback jersey being worn next year for the Canucks' 50th anniversary, the Canucks will be unveiling a brand new alternate design, which I have heard is royal blue, and it will have the new white stick and rink shoulder patch on their new leaked home jersey as the crest. That's what the Canucks will be doing for their new third, according to the rumors. So, since the Canucks have not officially unveiled their new uniforms yet, I'm not going to actually show you guys the leaks in this video. But basically, just think of the Canucks' new jerseys as their home and away jerseys without the Vancouver wordmark on them. And that's basically it. And the new stick and rink shoulder patch, at least on their home jersey. I can't see the Canucks having a white stick and rink shoulder patch on their away jersey, but you never know. I could be wrong. And it's quite possible that I am. But that's the only two changes they've made. But you know what, guys? I've got to be honest. I don't feel the Orca belongs on their jerseys at all. Their current jerseys, including their newly leaked ones, look like jerseys to me that some minor league or beer league team picked out and put their logo on the front of. Am I saying that the Orca is a terrible logo? In terms of being a piece of artwork, I feel that as a logo, the person who created it did a wonderful job with it. I just don't think it's a good hockey logo. And for the Vancouver Canucks, I'm really getting tired of them insisting on sticking with the Orca. I've just never liked the Orca. Even as a kid, I've never liked the Orca. The Orca better suited their older jerseys from the late 90s and early 2000s. But what I don't like about the Orca is the fact that the Orca was basically, here, let me just explain the whole Orca situation for when it comes to the Canucks logo identity that they've had since the mid to late 1990s. The Orca was brought in because at the time the Vancouver Canucks were purchased by an ownership group called Orca Bay Sports and Entertainment. They were owned by this company called Orca Bay. So, of course, they wanted to incorporate Orca branding on the Canucks jerseys, which makes a lot of sense. But also at the time, the Canucks were actually, when Orca Bay first bought the team, from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, supposedly the Canucks were at one point considering in the mid-1990s rebranding themselves entirely as the Vancouver Orcas, instead going from Canucks to the Vancouver Orcas. So if they were called the Orcas and they had that Orca logo as their main crest, that makes sense. But that was why the Canucks ended up settling on the Orca. And as we all know, they never actually went ahead with rebranding the team's name from Canucks to the Orcas. They stayed as the Canucks, but what they did instead is they adopted the Orca logo and branding, and they changed their uniforms, and they've had the Orca on their uniforms ever since, which of course in 2007, they took the Orca logo and a new number and lettering font and stuck them on the retro Canucks blue and green jerseys, which they've had ever since. And of course stuck the original, or a modernized version of the original stick and rink logo as a shoulder patch, which also became their longtime third jersey in the Reebok Edge era. But for the Canucks new jerseys, I actually felt like the Vancouver wordmark was better on the jersey than off of it. I mean, I might have a change of heart once I see the new jerseys unveiled. But the thing about the Vancouver wordmark above the Orca was that I felt like it kind of took a little bit of attention away from that crest that, in my opinion, has never belonged on those jerseys, period. And to me, I don't care for the Orca. I think it's a great piece of artwork, but I just don't think it's a great logo. And I really do believe that the Canucks are long overdue to at least go back to the stick and rink full time or do something new with Johnny Canuck. I've never cared for the Orca, and I just don't think it has ever looked right on the Canucks' current uniforms and their current color scheme especially. And by the way, the Vancouver wordmark above the Orca that they've had since 2007 was inspired by the Canucks uniforms that they wore, or when there was a team called the Vancouver Canucks that played in the Western Hockey League, I believe, back in the 60s. And that's where they got the inspiration for the Vancouver wordmark above the Orca from. But I have to admit, I am not totally impressed with what the Canucks have done if these leaks end up being true, which I hear they are. They have been confirmed by sportslogos.net, which means they are the new uniforms coming in for next season, eh? But the thing is, I'm not impressed. I was really hoping that the Canucks would finally ditch the Orca, and they haven't. I think it's unfortunate, and I'm hoping that the Canucks will eventually have a change of heart and eventually ditch the Orca. But another thing, I've actually heard that the Canucks' current ownership loves the stick and rink. So I'm kind of wondering, and this is just a theory on my part, so unless it happens, just take what I'm about to say with a light grain of salt. This is just a theory on my part. But I'm kind of thinking, well, with the Canucks celebrating their 50th anniversary, I could see the owners saying, well, let's keep the current Orca branding, but let's make a bit of a tweak so people have to go out and buy a new uniform, and so that we can make a slight tweak to help celebrate the 50th anniversary and create a bit of extra excitement around the team, which they have been rebuilding for the past few years. But I could also see them using this new third jersey that'll have the white stick and rink shoulder patch on their new home jersey as the main crest of their new third jersey, from what I've heard. I could see this new third jersey being a legitimate test of the waters, and if the fans love it, I could actually see the Canucks within the next 5 to 10 years switch to that with a matching away jersey full time. And remember, I could be wrong, but if they love the stick and rink as much as they do, why are they keeping the Orca? Unless what they're planning on doing is they're phasing it out, doing this to maybe celebrate the 50th anniversary, but testing the waters with a new third jersey with a white stick and rink on the front instead of the blue one that we had in the Reebok Edge era as their longtime third. And maybe what they're thinking of doing potentially is maybe they're going to go like this and say, okay, well, the fans love this one. Let's switch to this full time. And you know what? If the owners of the Canucks love the stick and rink as much as they do, according to the rumors that I've read online, I could actually see that happen. I mean, I was honestly hoping for that, or at least a new third jersey with Johnny Canuck on the front. I still think the Canucks should try a third jersey with Johnny Canuck on the front, and I am disappointed that they have never done that still. But who knows? I mean, we know that the Orca is staying. We know the Vancouver script is gone. However, I will say this, though. With the Vancouver word mark being gone, and with that, who knows? Maybe this is just going to be part of a short-term change, which ends up eventually leading to a further long-term change. I hope that's the case, but until it's all confirmed, this is all just me theorizing at this point and making theories. So, as I said earlier, unless it actually happens, just take it with a grain of salt for now. But with the Vancouver Canucks, I mean, I could actually see them using the 50th anniversary to maybe tweak their main jerseys for now, and also in the long term using their new third jersey to test the waters for maybe a full-time switch to the stick and rink logo, and maybe a full-time switch to this new third jersey, which is yet to be unveiled as of this video, with potentially a matching away jersey to match the new third that's coming out for next season, on top of these new updated home and away jerseys and their special 1994 throwbacks that they will be bringing out for the special occasion that is the Vancouver Canucks 50th anniversary. So until we see more from the Canucks and we hear more, basically we've seen the new home jersey leaked. The away jersey is just a match of that, a flip. The only thing we're trying to figure out right now is whether the stick and rink shoulder patch is going to be white or blue on the white jersey. I would assume it's going to be blue. I think a white shoulder patch on a white jersey just doesn't look right, but until it's unveiled, you never know. But another little disappointment that I have with the leaked home jersey that we've seen of the Vancouver Canucks for next season is that they did not even bother to fix the Adidas collar on their home jersey. I find that incredibly disappointing. I mean, if you're tweaking the jerseys, why not try and actually tweak them so that there's some type of improvement to them? And I know a lot of people out there like the Orca losing the Vancouver word mark above it. And I know it's a matter of opinion, but for me, I would have rather seen the Canucks scrap the Orca entirely. And I'm disappointed that they didn't. Now, I'm going to move on to the Edmonton Oilers. So, as I showed in my What Is Known So Far two-part series, this is a concept that I designed based off of the rumors that I've heard regarding what the Oilers are supposedly going to do for a new third jersey, where it's going to be monochrome navy blue jersey that has orange on it but no white, and it's going to have elements inspired by the North American World Cup of Hockey jerseys from 2016. So to me, what that sounds like is they're going to have heathered striping and possibly the same stencil number font, and probably a letter font too, that the North American jerseys did have when the World Cup of Hockey was played almost 3 years ago. So, for the record, I have seen a mock-up that somebody has made, which is basically a navy blue version of the Flyers Stadium Series 3rd jersey with the Oilers monochrome orange logo on the front of it. However, if it's correct, it's correct. I mean, it's very possible that it is. But I have a feeling that the Oilers are going to do something more along the lines of at least having heathered orange striping and some type of special treatment to their number and letter font. Kind of like this with the stencil font that I've put together here, which is basically from the North American jerseys from 2016, But I'm thinking the Oilers are going to go with more heathered striping, something more North American inspired with stencil fonts, and at least some type of heathered orange striping. That's why I'm thinking that something like this concept that I created for my recent 2-part series about what is known so far regarding the 2019-2020 NHL jerseys that are supposed to be coming out between now and the start of next season. That's why I created this mock-up and this concept of mine, because I think something like this. And by the way, I've never seen the Oilers' new 3rd jersey for next season, just for the record, but with the rumors I've heard, that's why I think something more like this is probably, maybe not, but possibly more around the lines of something like this. Now, the one thing about the Oilers that I've really wanted to talk about that I didn't talk about in my What Is Known So Far 2-part series is this jersey here that the Oilers farm team, the Bakersfield Condors, have started wearing, I believe, as of this season. I mean, if the Oilers decided to wear this exact design as their 3rd jersey, I could live with this. I mean, this looks really actually quite nice. Even with the brighter orange and the navy blue, I actually think it's quite nice. The navy blue and the orange complement each other really, really well. And as much as I love the royal blue and orange, if the Oilers have to stay with orange and navy blue, this, to me, would be by far and away the best way to go. I mean, look at this uniform. I mean, it is the same design as the 80s uniform, but it uses the new navy blue. And in my opinion, it actually looks really quite nice. I mean, for the letters on the back of it, I would actually not even be against orange letters on the back. And I actually think that this is actually a pretty decent design. So if the Oilers wanted to have a navy blue 3rd, something like this, in my opinion, would be pretty cool. But also something that I didn't mention in my What Is Known So Far video series, my 2-parter, is this. Maybe the Oilers are considering a new 3rd jersey that's more along the lines of this, without the white, and maybe with some heathered orange striping. You never know. Perhaps it will have a bright orange shoulder yoke. I wouldn't be against that. But, I mean, I can understand the Oilers wanting to at least stick with orange, with the lighter orange and navy blue for the time being, and at least create a new 3rd jersey in this era. But you know what? I mean, I'm so disappointed because I was really hoping that the Oilers were going to realize that they made a big mistake. And I know I've talked to at least one person that does love the Oilers' new orange and navy blue uniforms. And that's totally fine if you do. But I was really disappointed when we learned that the Oilers would not be just flipping their royal blue heritage jersey and making it their full-time home jersey again and making the new orange home jersey their 3rd jersey. That really disappointed me. I've been disappointed about it ever since the news broke. So, I gotta admit, if the Oilers will at least wear their throwbacks for 2 to 4 games every year going forward with the new orange and navy color scheme and their current new home and away jerseys with this new upcoming navy blue monochrome 3rd jersey they're planning for next season, if they wear the throwback for maybe 2 or 3 times a year on top of that, in the short term, I think I could live with it, even though I still believe very strongly that the Oilers should have never changed again after finally going back to royal blue and orange and going back to the Gretzky era uniforms about 9 years ago, back in 2010. I mean, I think it's ridiculous, in my opinion, that the Oilers have switched to a lighter orange and navy blue. But as I say that, though, I gotta admit, if the Oilers wanted to bring something out like this as a third jersey, I would be a fan. But since it's supposed to be monochrome with elements inspired by the North American World Cup team from 2016, this is not going to happen. But at the bare minimum, the Oilers, in my opinion, need to at least wear their throwbacks for 2 or 3 games a year, at least in the short term. And then from there, they need to make it their main home jersey again, bring back the matching white away jersey, and never change them again. If they want to try new third jerseys, by all means. But please, never, ever go away from royal blue and orange ever again. And on top of that, they should just go back to it right now. Seriously, in my opinion, those royal blue and orange jerseys are absolute classics. I love them. And, you know, they are so superior to the orange and navy blue uniforms that they've got now, especially the home jersey. As for the the away jersey, for being navy blue with the lighter hue of orange, it still looks very close to what it replaced. And the navy blue doesn't look bad. But to me, the Oilers should always be in royal blue and orange, not orange and navy. Definitely not orange as the primary color and navy blue. They should at least have a main jersey that's blue, whether it's navy or royal blue. And preferably for me, the Oilers should just go back to the 80s uniforms. I just can't say it enough. But I wanted to talk about this uniform here because for a jersey that's navy blue and orange, I really like it. And notice the new CCM Quick Light collar as well. Unfortunately, I hear that the CCM Quick Light style is actually not going to be implemented in the National Hockey League. Of course, we also know that CCM is no longer owned by Adidas. But even though they're no longer owned by Adidas, why can't Adidas offer a new collar option to, fix this Adi Zero collar problem that the entire NHL has now? It's a shame, in my opinion. It's a shame that this Adi Zero collar option that we've now got for all of the teams is the only option available. I mean, so many teams have been ruined by it. Number one, Chicago. Many teams like Toronto, Vancouver, even the toilet seat collars that the Avalanche have, for example. I could go on, but those Adi Zero collars are just bad. They're horrible, in my opinion, and they need to go. At least Nike in the NFL has fixed their collars. The NHL needs to do the same, in my opinion, and hopefully Adidas will come to their senses and find a fix for it soon, real soon. But also I want to talk about Detroit. I think it's very possible that they could be bringing a Detroit Cougars throwback out as a third jersey. I was talking about it with one of my subscribers on Discord, and the Detroit Cougars uniforms are quite nice. And you know what? I think that if the Red Wings absolutely must have a third jersey, then I could live with that as a third, but I don't know. It'll either be that, their 2014 Winter Classic sweater, or their jersey, the red and beige one with the Detroit word mark on the front and the vintage wheel. But part of me is kind of thinking that it's possible the Red Wings might do something new with that logo that they created for their Stadium Series uniforms in the 2015-16 season. They wore that jersey with the diagonal white sash on it for one game against the Avalanche in a Stadium Series game, and that was it. They never wore it again, thankfully, but something's telling me they might bring that logo out for a third jersey. I mean, I think there's a chance they could do it and make a third jersey that's not bad, but part of me, you know what, I'll be honest, I really do think that it would be better if Detroit actually did not have a third jersey at all, and maybe just had a throwback to wear 2 or 3 times a year tops. But I could actually see a white throwback jersey from the 1940s make an appearance next year too, because the thing is that in recent years, I know that Ted Lindsay and Gordie Howe have passed away, and I couldn't think of a better tribute to former players such as those two than a throwback uniform. And I think it'd be cool to see the white jersey that the Red Wings wore back in the 1940s as an alternate sweater for the Red Wings. And I call it a sweater because when it was worn, it was a hockey sweater. So I think that would be a really cool idea for a third jersey if the Detroit Red Wings absolutely have to have one. But anyways, you guys, I've ended up talking a lot longer than I thought I would, but I really wanted to add some further discussion to these teams because the Minnesota situation's weird. I hope that they can get it fixed in time for the start of next season so they can get approved to use their new uniform. The Canucks, I have to be honest, I'm very disappointed with what they've decided to do. At least I'm hoping that the third jersey will be worth the wait, though. I think there's a chance it could end up being really quite nice. But as for the Oilers, too, I mean, I'm really disappointed that they're not going back to their royal blue jersey full-time again. I think it's such a shame, and I really do believe that their new third jersey is probably going to be quite mediocre. I mean, I'm hoping to be proven wrong, but, I just don't... I mean, if the Oilers, want to go away from their classic uniforms for a brighter hue of orange and navy blue, which their orange jersey, in my opinion, is not very good at all. I do not like it. I haven't liked it since the day they unveiled it, to be honest. I mean, as a third jersey, I could live with it. But as a home jersey, seeing the Oilers not wearing blue as their main colored jersey, to me, is just not right. It's the same thought that I have about the Flames wearing just white and black for a few seasons in the early 2000s. That, to me, was not right. And I'm glad that the Flames have fixed that error ever since 2003. Or since the early 2000s, after that 2 to 3 season period without a red jersey, and they fixed it and almost won a Stanley Cup in the process. But I'm hoping the Oilers will come to their senses and eventually go back to being royal blue and orange again. But as for the Red Wings, their third jersey could be anything at this point. I just hope that they're not going to screw this up. But with what I've seen from Adidas so far, I'm honestly a little bit concerned about the Red Wings. For the New York Rangers, I think they'll just bring their navy blue heritage jersey back, the one that said New York on the front with the red and beige accents. I love that uniform. I thought it was a gorgeous jersey and a gorgeous alternate uniform. I really do want to see it come back. But I could also maybe see them try something new with the Lady Liberty too, which I know a lot of people like it, but besides the odd special Stadium Series game in the future, I really don't know if I really want to see that make a comeback. But if people like it and it ends up being a good third jersey, then I would be okay with it. But if it's anything other than that old or that former alternate jersey for the Rangers, I don't know if it's going to be very good. And I definitely was not a fan of the 2018 Winter Classic jersey the Rangers wore either. That random striping along the upper chest shoulder area, I did not like it. I also didn't like how the waist striping didn't just run along the bottom of the jersey like their home jersey does. There was a bit of navy blue underneath it. Sorry to be picky, but I didn't care for that. But anyways, you guys, I've talked for 43 minutes, much longer than I thought I would, but I really wanted to do this video to provide that extra discussion about those uniforms because this whole topic about the Wild's planned third jersey, the Canucks' new leaked uniforms, and, of course, the Edmonton Oilers' plans for a third jersey are things that I've really been quite fascinated with, and I really wanted to talk about them in more detail. Also, about the Minnesota Wild, I actually heard as far back as the 2017-18 season that somebody saw some other proposed designs at a season ticket holder event that they couldn't take photos of because the Wild had very strict rules about photography because they didn't want these images leaked to the public. And I can kind of understand why, even though I wish that what they would have done is actually shared them with their fan base and let their fan base vote on what they wanted to see as a third. That, to me, would have been a really cool interactive idea. But I don't call the shots. I'm just a guy who films videos about jerseys because I love talking about them, eh? But yeah, I heard there was like 3 or 4 other designs that were all green. One had beige striping and some type of gold, and another one had some type of gold striping on it. That would have been cool, but at the same time, I'm really fascinated by the idea of a black Wild third jersey. I'm really curious, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing it if it does get approved, even though I'm going to be honest with you guys. I do think it's going to be a real dud if it is approved, but that's just a matter of opinion, and hopefully they'll prove me wrong. But anyways, you guys, after 45 minutes of talking, I will finally call it a wrap on this video. How do you guys feel about everything I talked about in this video? I'd be curious to hear from all of you. And on that note, folks, take care, and of course, as usual, everybody, bye for now.